Hey guys, it's Cece, and today I'm here to discuss girl hate. Okay, so before I actually get into this discussion on girl hate, just a warning, as with all my discussions, I am glad to continue down below in the comments and to hear your thoughts and to get into a whole debate about this, but today, as you were watching this, I'm having my wisdom teeth removed, so I won't be responding to comments today because I will be under sedation, and then I'll be sad. So as a warning, I'll start responding to comments tomorrow, because today, while you're watching this, my mouth is very sad. Anyway, now let's just get into talking about what I want to talk about, and that is girl hate in books, or girl on girl hate in general. And the reasons for this discussion are, first of all, that it is something that's always interested me, and it's something I've wanted to talk about for a long time, but also I've recently read multiple books that featured girl hate for whatever reason, and it absolutely infuriated me, and I just want to talk a little bit more about what girl hate is, why it's not okay, and what I expect out of the books I'm reading, because I want them to show me more and to think deeper. So first, I just kind of want to define what I see as girl hate in books. Girl hate, or girl on girl hate, from my perspective in books, is when female characters dislike one another because one of them has more traditionally feminine traits. The way I most commonly spot it is because the main character thinks that they are not like other girls, which means that for some reason or another, they don't like wearing dresses, or they don't wear makeup, or they're not as interested in boys, or that they somehow feel that the conversations that they're having and the things that they are feeling are more substantial than the things they think these other female characters are thinking. And that not like other girls thing does not necessarily always have to come from that female character. This is a compliment that can also be given by a male character in the book, which is also not great, and I'll talk a little bit more about why that is super not a compliment later. So first I want to talk about the concept of not like other girls and why I abhor it, and that a book using the term not like other girls is the quickest way to make me dislike it. The concept of not like other girls is absurd, and mainly this is because there are no other girls, because every single girl is unique in every way. So what other girl are you comparing this girl to specifically? It is a created idea of some kind of trait that you don't like in your head that you've decided applies to all other girls except this one? If you don't like these so-called other girls, what about them specifically is so terrible that you don't want to see yourself compared to? Because I guarantee all other girls are not like that, because every girl is unique and every girl is different, and there's no one singular other girl to be compared to. Also, when going into thinking about other girls, it's important to note what is it about this character that is perceived as other and therefore better. A lot of times where I've seen this used is that saying you're not like other girls means you don't do the same things that you perceive other girls do, which are traditionally feminine things. But hating these traits does not make someone better than someone else. Thinking that a girl is worse because she wears makeup isn't fair in any way, as I'm sure most of you agree with. Some girls wear makeup and some girls don't, and neither of those girls is better than the other for the sheer sake of wearing makeup or not. I think an other girlness is also saying that you are less catty or dramatic than other girls, which is an unfair stereotype that has been put on a lot of women, mainly because of the way we are socialized. A lot of girls, especially in junior high and high school, have a tendency to say that they don't make friends with women because they're going to have more drama if they're friends with girls, and so they're friends with boys. But this isn't okay either. If you do truly prefer hanging out with men over women, that's fine. That's who you are connecting to more. But it is completely unfair to lump all women together and say that you don't like them for this one trait, because there is no guarantee that they all have this trait, and you lumping them all in with one another and saying that male friends are better than potential female friends is not cool. This is a thing that I said in high school, which was completely ridiculous, and that I recognize now is internalized misogyny, and it's just not a great way to think about the kinds of friends you're having, which is why I hate to see it so much in the female characters I read about. Female characters and women in general do not all fit under an umbrella stereotype of more drama. As I said earlier, every single woman is different, and putting them all under this umbrella is a very narrow way to think about things. And in fact, from my experience, a lot of the men that I was friends with caused just as much drama as any of the women that I had been friends with. Anyway, moving beyond that, using this compliment, "you're not like other girls," is not a compliment. The reason this isn't a compliment is because when you say that a girl is not like other girls and you're saying it as a positive thing, you are putting these girls in a competition that they never agreed to be a part of. Not only that, you're making them compete to reach your specific standards, which is not something they should be required to do. So those are kind of all of my problems in general with the "not like other girls" trope, but let me talk a little bit more about what I mean when I see girl hate in books. When I say I don't want to see girl hate in books, I am not in any way saying that every single female character who ever meets each other in a book have to like each other because they're women. That is definitely not what I'm saying, because that's not how real life works. Clearly there are people that you meet in your life that you don't like, but disliking them for their gender or for the traditionally masculine or feminine things that they do, that's where it becomes not okay. When I see girl characters who don't like each other in books, I want reasons behind that dislike. Eliminating girl hate in books means eliminating women who tear other women down just because they are women. It means not using gender-biased insults to bring one another down. The ones that I've heard most frequently are, of course, stuff like "man up" or "you throw like a girl," which inherently puts maleness as a positive and femaleness as a negative. I mean, don't put other women down for the sake of men. And most importantly, I want these female characters to stop holding each other to arbitrarily gendered stereotypes that society has taught us are correct. This is the kind of girl hate in books that I am so sick of seeing. So why don't we talk about a couple of those books? First of all, I should probably talk about the books that motivated this video in the first place. And the main one that made me want to start talking about this was a book I read a couple of months ago called Saving Montgomery's Soul. Montgomery Soul was a high school girl, and she didn't get along with anyone at her school, and she absolutely hated the vapid girls that she went to school with, who were completely one-dimensional and were stupid and were prissy, and these were the reasons that they were bad. Because they were prissy, feminine girls who cared about things that Montgomery didn't care about. I tend to hold my reservations back to the end of the book to see if this is resolved, and in this book in particular, it definitely wasn't. And the other book that made me want to talk about this was Why We Broke Up by Daniel Handler, which was incredibly frustrating because "you're not like other girls" was a compliment that was put on this main character constantly. It was used as a compliment from men. It was occasionally used from women as a more negative thing, and that made me really upset because, again, it worked to resolve this a little bit by the end of the book, but I still felt like the concept of "not like other girls" was there when I got to the end of the book, and it was still perceived as a somewhat positive thing. It's something that I think has appeared in the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. Of course, she has been working, I think, fairly effectively to eliminate this a little bit. When we first meet Selena in the first book, I think that she had a lot of girl hate. And it was girl hate that was so interesting because Selena is typically feminine. She loves to be beautiful. She loves to get dressed up. But she hated other women because they were weak. And that was why she had never made friends with them. I think that this has been resolved slightly, but it was something that initially put me off Selena so much because, again, as I've said, I hate when female characters write off all other female characters. And since I mentioned a few of these books that I have a problem with, I think it's only fair to mention books that I don't have a problem with, that I think have a really good discussion on female friendships and the different ways that can work. First of all, every book by Shannon Hale. That is just a general recommendation, anything by Shannon Hale. She does an excellent job of writing female friendships that are complex and may involve disliking women, but not because they are women, and that is explored in a very interesting way in every single book of hers that I've ever read. I think Daughter of Smoke and Bone does an incredibly good job of this with the main character, Karu. While there are female characters that she may dislike, I think that she's incredibly open and she realizes the differences between women and she's willing to branch out and to make friends with these girls, no matter what types of girls they are. And the most recent book that I read that I think is an incredibly important example of no girl hate is If I Was Your Girl by Meredith Russo, which features a main trans girl. These friendships are also incredibly important and should be discussed in books. So I want to bring this all back around now, and I want to talk about what I want to see in my books. My biggest thing is that young girls read YA, and I would hate to think that they are getting the impression from some of these books that this relationship with other women is okay, because that's how I was taught it was okay, and it took me a long time to grow out of that and to address the things I was feeling and realize that they weren't okay. So the ways that I would like to see female characters and female relationships improved. First of all, more female characters is always an incredibly important tool. If there is only one female character who's named and has a personality in the book, she writes off all other women, that's a huge problem. If there's only one female character and her female best friend, and they don't like all the other women, that's also a problem, because it just needs to be explained more. What is so special about these two girls that they can be friends with each other and no other women that they come across? Then again, I'm always rooting for more female characters because I love well-developed female characters. But one of the most important things that I wanted to talk about is that it is okay, completely okay, to include a book where female characters don't like each other. To not include that would be absurd because that's what happens. Sometimes women don't like each other. Sometimes men don't like each other. Sometimes men and women don't like each other. Because you can't like everybody. However, I want these relationships to be explored in a different kind of way, and I think that it can sometimes feel like lazy storytelling to say that this one girl is good and all other girls are bad, and the only reason that you're given is that they seem like such terrible people for like no reason, and we're not given a reason. The most important thing, I think, if you're talking about female characters who don't like each other is that you have to give reasons for this dislike, and it has to be more than just they're a bad person because I, the writer, say so, and now I'm gonna make them nasty. It just comes across as lazy, unfortunately. If your lead character says, I'm not friends with other girls, why? Explain why. Explain to me why this character feels this way, and hopefully take me on a journey to make sure that she realizes that there are still women out there she can be friends with, and writing off everyone else who's a woman is not the way to go about it, and that's the kind of thing that should be included in these books. And most importantly, I think it's okay to allow female characters in books to experience girl hate. Because girl hate is real. Girl on girl hate happens all the time. So including that in books is important too, but only if it's explored. I feel like I've said explored 100 times, but that's just the kind of thing that I want to see more. It's okay to have your main female character have girl hate, so long as this girl hate is going to be talked about more in depth. So long as we get to know the other side of the story and understand what it is about this other female character that is not okay. And as long as we understand that the main character has been socialized to feel this way and that that is not a great way to feel. Maybe in a book you could show the ways that she realizes that to be not like other girls is not a higher state of being. Representing real life is completely fine, and that is a lot of times what books are all about. But showing these unacceptable things as acceptable, that's where it's not okay. Okay guys, we've come to the end of this video. I hope that you have appreciated this discussion, and I hope that I brought something to it more than just saying girl hate is bad, because I think it's a more complex issue than that. Is this something you have noted in books? Is it something that you feel frustrated by? Similarly, have you noticed the same kind of things with struggles regarding masculinity? Forced masculinity in books is also a big problem. Have you seen the same kind of things that you see with girl on girl hate? And most importantly, please, please recommend to me books without girl hate, or even books that have girl hate, but that girl hate is explored and explained and talked about more in depth. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that you've appreciated my discussion on girl hate. Please continue it in the comments below, and I will respond to you just as soon as I am able to again. I'm so sad for my wisdom teeth. Anyway, again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!